We're joined by Director Tommy Lynch of the Parks and Recreation Department. Tommy, if you would please introduce who you have brought with you today.
Thank you.
And then begin your budget presentation to the committee.
Thank you. On my left is Monique Odom, who's in charge of our finance and administration of the Parks Department. And on my right is Tim Nate, who's our park planner. He's in charge of planning and development. I do want to introduce people that are in the gallery that have come here today with us. I'll start with our employees. We have Mr. Mike Bays, Jackie Jones, Shane Dennison, Bob Parrish, Janet Frazier, Jim Hester, and Captain Chris Taylor. We also have board members, Chairman of the board George Anderson, Stan Fossick, and Charles McTorrey. And we have another guest that came with us, Eleanor Willis, who represents the Friends of Warner Park. I'll get right to the meat of it. We've had a lot of accomplishments during the past year. The E.S. Rose Athletic Complex was done with a public-private partnership between the city and Belmont University. This experiment, which was very controversial in the planning stages, has proved to be a wonderful asset to our department. We have walking clubs established there that would not have existed 3 years ago, that include people who were involved in the lawsuit to try to stop this development. The development of this park has greatly enhanced our service to the community. It works. 4 scholarships are being announced to Belmont to recent high school graduates from the community. Ebony Hamer, Octavia Nichols, Cherish Woodard, and Cleonis Mitchell, all directly related to this partnership. The ongoing implementation of our Greenway master and park master plan is moving forward. We've opened McCabe Community Center in the past year, and we have new greenways passed, such as the expansion of Mill Creek Greenway, the Harpeth River Greenway, and other projects that are ongoing. The construction of the Sevier Park Community Center and riverfront development downtown, along with the recent opening of the Cumberland Park. Good people make up the greatest number of employees working in our department. We have a diverse workforce, but most importantly, we have a dedicated workforce. This is one aspect that resonates throughout our entire department, is that we have people working in the exact field they chose, whether it be in a community center, a golf course, or working on the fields that people play sports on. Park employees are the backbone of the department, and the maintenance employees are the foundation for what we do. I have to give a few facts when I think about what parks means to me, because I know the inner workings of it, but I'm not so sure everybody else does. Do you realize that our custodial staff cleans and maintains over 670,000 square feet of building space throughout the county? Do you know how many mowers and how many trucks are needed to carry our workers to all the places throughout the county so you can walk on a greenway or a trail or throw a frisbee in a park? The revenue that's generated by our facilities and our economic impact on the city. We opened a driving range at McCabe Golf Course in March, and we've been attracting over 5,000 people a month to enjoy an activity that they did not enjoy previously. The celebrations and other functions coordinated throughout our system that benefits our residents and visitors. Within just the past 2 weeks, we opened Wave Country successfully, where over 4,000 people attended the facility during the first weekend. Centennial Park hosted 3 events just this past weekend. Tour de Fat had 5,000 participants. 400 people attended Musicians Corner, and 650 youth participated in a triathlon that started at the Sportsplex and Youth Centennial Parks. Other events that were going on the same weekend. Souls for Souls Walk was held at Shelby Bottoms Greenway. The Red Caboose Park concert series began. The Richland Park Farmers Market, as well as the Flat Rock Heritage Festival with over 3,000 attendees, were held on park property on the same weekend. Do you think about our resource management? We have wetlands mitigation going on at Bell's Bend, and we're also implementing and establishing shoreboard ponds there. We're developing a series of mountain bike trails across the county to serve this underserved constituency. I know this body believes in providing funding for parks and open space. We add to the quality of life. Parks add to property values. Parks improve public health. Parks improve youth safety. Parks protect natural resources. Our limits have been stretched like all departments, and as you make your serious determination about the upcoming budget, look into the past and see whether the Parks Department budget has grown as our acreage has grown and as our facilities have grown, or whether we are truly doing more with less. In fiscal year 2007, we had a budget that included 673 FTEs and was almost 4 million more than the proposed budget this year that has 557 FTEs. And having come down to council meetings before, I can't ignore the fact I was here this past Tuesday. And right before your public hearing, as many council members were making their announcements, several events were being held at various community centers across the county for council members to discuss the budget. At least 2 announcements were made about outdoor music venues, one on the east side at East Park with the Symphony, and another in Midtown at Fannie Mae Dees Park. We make a sincere effort to provide the best quality programs and activities at the most affordable prices, mostly free. Thank you for your time, and we're prepared to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Councilman Tigard, you are recognized.
Thank you. I am, with the chairman's blessing here, going to call out one of your employees who is one of my favorite people in the whole world and who is the absolute best secretary to keep park directors out of trouble. But without Janet Frazier, I don't know what would happen to this Parks Department. So
I don't know what would happen to me, for sure.
I guarantee you, I know. All right. We've gotten a lot of emails. How many assistant directors make over $100,000 in your department?
It's not 5, it's 2.
Okay, so misinformation that was spread somewhere. So, you know, I would look any blogger or any of these folks in the eye and say, I can look at a lot of different departments and have concerns that the money is not being spent as wisely as it should, but I can look you in the eye and say, I know absolutely, despite some of your board members, Mr. Fossick, that your department is run efficiently and in a great manner, and I have no concerns about your management skills. So you have chosen to apparently privatize softball activities.
It was one of the, when we had to submit budget cut modifications, and I think you and our relationship goes back to the old softball days with the bleacher bums and when I was working as in charge of the umpires. At one point in time, we had over 1,400 softball teams playing in Nashville. We've got less than 350 playing now. None of the fields that we have are being utilized 4 games a night, 5 nights a week. And I think from that standpoint, it doesn't impact the youth. It impacts the adults. And at the same time, it's basically we're going to put an RFP out for someone else to operate that type of program and pay us to do it.
Okay, which I commend you for. You're innovative. You look for ways to cut the budget that didn't impact mainly kids or seniors that might be using community centers or greenways or some of the other wonderful facilities. All right, so you privatize softball. Do golf courses, wave country, or the sportsplex make or lose money in terms of just bottom line income expenses?
The last couple of years, it would be tough for me to say that they don't lose money. Fiscal year 2010 and 2011 were both impacted heavily by the flood. We lost May and June, the 2 biggest months of golf at all of our golf courses. And we lost July, of the last 2 months of the fiscal year of 2010. And we lost July, August, September, and October at Ted Rhodes and at McCabe Golf Course. Under normal circumstances, and I do believe I'm going to be on the mark on this year the golf courses will either break even or have an excess.
Super. All right, you've been sitting out here a long time since we're a little behind schedule, so you've heard some of my line of questioning about advertising and partnerships and whatnot. Would you care to weigh in on opportunities that might exist in our Parks Department for similar type deals?
We look for sponsorships. I have to state that it's in the charter that there's no advertising in parks. And so what we do is we have people that sponsor tournaments, that sponsor events, that sponsor programs, that sponsor outings and things like that, and they're allowed to pay for it, and they're allowed to have their name put up during the time of the event or during the time of the activity. But that's an avenue that would need to be looked at, but it's also an avenue that would have to go through this council because it is in the charter.
So the charter would prohibit the Crown Ford Sports Wave Country. And I picked on Crown Ford, or maybe I've given them great advertising tonight.
Well, we might interpret that as a sponsorship, though.
The thought of a certain council member in a Speedo at Wave Country is not appealing to me, though, so that we may have to come up with a different idea there. Well, once again, I want to thank you for your tireless efforts on behalf of the park system. You've got great employees working for you, and we're here to support you any way we can. Thank you.
It's like I said a while ago, I can't say enough about the people that work at the Parks Department and how efficient they are and how effective they are. They truly love their job, and they love what we do for the city.
Council Lady Dowell, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions to ask. One, I want to put in a request that a neighbor shared with me that King Ridge Park, they need some new baseball bases out there, and I was just wondering, is that included in the budget request? And then I'll just ask my two questions and you can answer afterwards. The second one I had is that I believe the recreation centers are key in the summertime for youth involvement, really throughout the year, really engaging our young people and keeping them out of jail. And we've had this conversation before about a lot of the recreation centers not having the different layers of, management or personnel within the centers, for example, to do programming. Has any consideration been made by you of partnering with some of the nonprofits and perhaps offering, utilizing the space we have at Metro to bring in people to help oversee and plan this program, and so that we don't have to hire an FTE to do it, because we need that resource there to assist. And one last one is about on Saturdays. I get questions all the time why the recreation centers are not open on Saturday. I was just wanting to know, as far as cost goes, to open some of the ones in certain areas on Saturday, if that's an option or a possibility, or is it just, not worth the cost?
I'll start with the bases. We generally do replace bases as they get frayed or as they wear, and that's just a general check that our maintenance staff does on all the ball fields. And so if the bases are just brown or dirty, we don't normally replace them, but if they're torn or creating a hazard, we do. The statement about the community centers on Saturday, and again, I'm gonna have to give you almost the same answer the folks from the library gave you. What we did over the last 8 years or so with the Parks Department is not close any facilities as we got cut, and we started, which is basically what a lot of businesses are doing now. We're going more to part-time workers. I'll give you an example. It used to be we would have 3 full-time employees at a community center like Kirkpatrick Community Center. Now we have 1 full-time person, 1 30-hour person, and 1 19-hour person. It was sort of determined that the best effect that the community centers would have would be to keep them all open and going and do what we could, rather than to close community centers down, and especially close community centers down that impact at-risk youth. We partner with the Youth Life Learning Center. We've talked to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We've talked to various different groups, and one of the things that came out of the Mayor's Youth Master Plan there's been discussions with various other groups such as the Y and for us to partner. But most of the time it comes around that one, there's going to have to be a fee associated with it, with the programs that would come in from another group, from a nonprofit. And most of our programs at the neighborhood centers have always generally been free. And I haven't I do not know what it would cost. I can get you that to open an extra day. But I will also tell you this, the regional centers are open on Saturday. The neighborhood centers generally, for whatever reason, even when we were open on Saturday was the least used day.
Councilman Stein, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch, when did you move from interim to permanent?
Last November.
Last November. I would say that we've been through a lot of discussions with a lot of boards, and I think we have questioned some of their management decisions. I would congratulate this board for making you permanent, because clearly lots of things are moving in positive directions. And one of those, which is budget related, within your budget, clearly you all are really making great strides in your programming within your community centers for young people. I saw some of that when I saw the NASA kids and what they were doing in conjunction with the work going on in your park system is really, I think, taking us to at least to this century in terms of what we're offering them and trying to reach out to them. And I congratulate you all for working within this budget. I would hope that over time we give you even more resources to do it. But thank you all for your innovative thinking about how to interact with young people, because I think we're only going to see an increase with those that want to interact with our park system because you all are offering such a diversity of programming.
Thank you. Thank you. And you hit on something that I was going to talk about, but with the lateness of the hour, the NASA program and the Nashville Collaborative that we're teaming with Vanderbilt at Coleman, Hadley, and East has been a great, successful program.
Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Lynch, and I thanked he and both Tim outside. I really appreciate you. I think a lot of people don't realize, I was laughing, Berkeley and I, some years ago about that Belmont and how controversial it was and how you've continued to work with us. And even though Rose Park is no longer in my area, that some really wonderful things came out. As you noted, those $100,000 scholarships apiece for kids from here on to the next 40 or 45 years is phenomenal, you know. And then we got the swimming pool up and running and just all the different programs that's coming out of that, and just how you availed Miss Jackie to help us with that. So I appreciate that. And then on a smaller level, I wanted to commend Tim once again for that pocket park and just kind of pulling our neighbors together. And that was just, I mean, it was so awesome. I just think it was a wonderful example of how government works. It pulled together so many different constituencies, communities, and we maximized our resources. And everybody was so happy that day. So I appreciate you coming out. And now we have a beautiful park that took a little bit of parks dollars, combined them with MDHA, used some of their own, and I mean, wow. Okay, so I just wanted to thank you for that once again, all right?
Thank you. For those of y'all that don't know, it's the Flora Wilson Park.
Councilman Duval, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tommy, thank you so much for being here tonight. The first question I have is on the Parthenon. I thought that was a self-sustaining item, but it shows under your revenue-producing enhancement recreation area. For some reason, I just thought it was totally independent. I know it's located in one of our parks, but I thought it was independent. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, we self-operate it. It's,
okay. Is it operated at a profit or at a loss?
You know, we, the Parthenon in the profit and loss that I'm looking at, that it did $974,000 in revenue, and the expenses were $804,000.
So it's actually operating positively.
Yes.
I guess two things that I would need to do. One is ask when you get a chance to get back with me on the water at Cane Ridge Park that we had discussed, putting the water fountain in.
Yes.
Or back in, reinstalling them. And the second thing, I think us and the council members in Southeast Davidson County would be remiss if we didn't dovetail on Charlie's Crown Ford and talk about Freeland Chevrolet. So, thank you.
Councilman Bednay, you're recognized.
Yeah. You said before that you guys do lots of groundkeeping. Do you have your own crew of people that mow the lawn, or that is privatized?
No, our guys do that.
So could you mow the lawn of the schools? Or there is any way for that to be separated? How does that work?
Well, I guess to be perfectly honest, after the last 10 or 12 years, we get to our park facilities, but we have gone from a 7-day, 14-day rotation to basically a 10, 14, 21, 28-day rotation, depending on the remoteness of the park. That's one of the areas that, in the words of Mike Bays, who runs the maintenance, it's not like all of a sudden we got bad at our job because we don't cut it as much as we used to. It's all of a sudden the acreage and the land got bigger than we can handle. So we have a good, tough enough time taking care of our own property.
Well, maybe this is a question for Mr. Riebling, but yesterday we were told by Metro Schools that they needed additional money to be able to take care of some of the school properties. And I don't know what will be most cost efficient, or even if it will be possible for us to give you guys more money to take care of it. Who would I ask, Mr. Riebling or you? How does that work?
I wouldn't think I would be the one to be able to answer that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Lynch, for yeah, I mean, the schools, schools has their own contract with whatever the name of the company is that maintains their properties. I guess there could be I don't know what the cost, if there would be cost savings. I mean, their argument for doing the privatization was that it was cheaper. And so I don't know, if it was Parks employees are going to be paid, I would think comparable wages to what the schools employees were being paid when they were on their staff. So I don't know if there'd be any savings by having Parks do it. Obviously, it would take a whole new staff, a whole another level of staff, because the existing staff clearly couldn't do it. So I don't know. The short answer is I don't know if it would save any money, but it would. My sense is that it would cost Parks the same as it costs schools to do it, and they found it cheaper to privatize it. So that would be my short answer.
Will it be okay? Will it be possible for, I hate to give you more work, but if you could run that for me, will that be possible?
Sure, we can take a look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Reardon. How about historic buildings upkeep? We have many that are being managed by you. Are we doing okay with that, budget-wise?
Well, I would have to say there's at least 2 places we're doing better on than we used to, and one is the Two Rivers Mansion, and I think at one point it was on the Nashville 9 list, and we've put considerable amount of money into it over the last couple of years. And then secondly, and this is through the Friends of Warner Park, the Historical Commission just gave our folks an award for rebuilding the picnic shelters out at Warner Park, and that was courtesy of our partnership with the Friends of Warner Park. So those are the 2 prime examples that we're doing a good job on.
Well, you guys are doing a good job on many other things, but I just want to make sure that our buildings are not getting deteriorated for lack of funding. So you're telling me we are okay?
And I was just going to add, in this year's capital plan, we have money for Fort Nashboro, for the Lot 2 building, and for what else, Tim? And more money for Two Rivers.
Great, thanks. Senior citizens, we have, in my district, I have been approached by many people, older people, looking for a place for them to have activities we don't have any. So I guess it's a twofold question. One is, yesterday I was asking the school people if there was any way for us to use their buildings after hours. And so is there any way for parks and the school to have a partnership to utilize the buildings from the public schools for activities for the community?
We have done that in the past. And so I would think if there, that it would be possible for some sort of arrangement or memorandum between schools and parks to exist. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it would be, we would have to add people on our staff, or they'd have to add people on their staff to do it.
Yeah, I understand. And what will it take, if that wasn't possible, what will it take to create some kind of a center for a small building for activities for seniors in my district? What would be the procedure to go about doing that? Or maybe this is a question, I'm sorry, Chair, I'll ask this question another time. Sorry about that. I just wanted to also congratulate Cindy Harrison. She's done a great job with the Greenways in my Mill Creek Greenway, which it's, and that brings me to my last question. Can you speak to why Greenways, no, let me rephrase. Do Greenways improve property values when they are built close to subdivisions or parts of the city?
Yes. It's just like the parks themselves improve property values. The thing about, or the issue about Greenways has been that it was a new initiative. Mm-hmm. And as it's been going across the county, each neighborhood that it comes into, the first thing is people get shocked and they go, well, you're going to have strangers coming through my yard or things like that. And it ends up being their neighbors. And it also ends up getting people where they're walking their dogs or their children or themselves, and they're not on the streets and they're not getting the fumes from the cars. So the whole benefit from the Greenways is it's for the individual, and it helps property values. I'd have to say, and Councilman Holloman's gone, but like the Richland Creek Greenway and what's been done over there has really helped that whole entire area.
So it objectively improves our tax base by having this Greenways
yes,
bill.
sir.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Lady Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair McGuire, and great to see you, Director Lynch, and all of the Parks and Recreation family and board members. I just want to say that to have the fewest revenue dollar allocations in the Metro Pie and a large demand for services, what you do with what you have is tremendous. And you're truly a lean department that is extremely efficient with quality parks and high service levels, because the feedback that I get from people throughout the city is that our parks are second to none. They are actually parks that people look forward to coming to and recreating in. So I commend you on all of your efforts to make our parks what they are today. The question that I have, I'm asking on behalf of my constituents, and that is in reference to Unipark. And although we know dollars are tight, one of the things that has been expressed over and over again in that community is, since we did take over that property as Metro government, could the exploration of building restrooms be looked at? And I don't know if that's something that maybe we can partner with General Services to look at, but I just wanted to put out on the table that that is something that's very important to the people in that community, and that they would like to see restrooms for the children who come to play sports at Unipark. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look into that.
Council Lady Blaylock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Something like she was talking about with the restrooms, is there a way that we can have sponsorships, maybe the Crown Ford restroom and have,
I'm not sure there'd be that many people interested in having their name affiliated with it unless they were a plumbing supply company or something like that.
But can we look into doing that to raise some funds instead of just doing tax dollars?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And then is there a way that we can use more of the inmates to mow our grounds for the parks?
It's probably more of a sheriff's department question. We have on an off and on basis over the years used either DUIs to work on the grounds or to work custodial at some of our facilities. They for a long time, they augmented the custodial services at the Centennial Sportsplex. It does get problematic. It works better when we get their whole crew with their guard to bring them on, because some of our guys don't know the type of crimes they've committed and why they're in, and then once they work with them, they get a little too close to them, and it can be an issue. It can be problematic from that standpoint. But we have worked with the sheriff on using inmates for projects, for clearing out certain areas, and for other aspects of it.
Thank you.
Councilman Tenpenny, brought to you by Crown Ford. You are recognized.
Wow, Crown Ford.
Getting some good advertisement tonight.
I'm telling you, man. You've driven a Ford lately. Mr. Lynch, once again, I want to thank you again for the great job that you do. I'm an avid golfer. I've played every Metro golf course from the time I was 10 years old. I still play, avidly play. I love the game. Never thought McCabe Golf Course would really reopen again or be anything like it was. Not only did it reopen, it is 10 times better than it ever has been. The greens, it's amazing what you guys did out there. And that flood, and that just shows what you can do. I mean, it's incredible what you did with that golf course. Also, out on Clarksville Highway at
Ted
Rhodes. Another one played out there.
Ted Rhodes may be our hidden gem. It
is.
Could be the best golf course.
I love the greens. They're fast and they roll true.
Yep.
But yeah, just thank you. You guys do a wonderful job, and coming in under like you guys are doing here is a great thing. What I did want to ask you, and what I hear from my constituents and all about the Greenways projects and all, it's like, oh, here we go again. A lot of taxpayer money going out that we don't need anymore. And what I would like for you guys to explain to the people tonight is where that money comes from and how it's contributed over the Greenways projects, if you could for me.
Okay, well, there at various points in time, some of it has been transportation money to give alternate means of transportation. Like the Richland Creek Greenway, people can ride their bikes to Publix and the stores. It's also local money as well, but the whole point for the Greenways is to be protect the environment as well, and to help water clarity and water quality. And most people mistake the walking path as the whole point of it.
Sure.
And that's just only one aspect of the intention of the Greenways. It's from an environmental standpoint and from the personal standpoint, that when you do use the Greenways and you kind of get away from everything, and then plus just the benefit of getting out and walking. I think we're all spend too much time behind our desks, too much time looking at a computer on Facebook, and I often tell my kids, you need to get outside, the graphics are great.
Yes. Shelby Bottoms, great. Love McCabe. Those people really use it.
One of the particularly interesting points after the flood of 2010 is that after people got through cleaning up houses and after people got through cleaning up their businesses, we were overwhelmed by the number of people that called us that wanted to volunteer to clean up the greenways that had been impacted by the flood. And it was For them, they wanted to get back to their normal routine, and their normal routine had become walking on the Greenways.
Exactly. Once again, I want to thank you and your staff. I want to thank you guys back here. You guys did a great job. And I believe we have one coming in the 16th district.
Yes,
and we're really excited and really anticipating the start of that Greenways.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lynch. I don't have anyone else wishing to be recognized, so thank you very much, and thank you, board members. Tim, Monique, thank you for being here.